Sri Lankans remain devastated by the after effects of cyclone detour. As search and rescue operations continue island-wide, the authorities yesterday recovered the remains of 2 in Pangirimanawa Alkaduwa, where 5 houses were swept away by the erosion of the Pudukattuwa hills in Hunnaskiriya. Despite brave efforts by rescue teams, 5 others still remain missing under the rubble. As landslides continue to rock Matale, endangering lives and property, prompt measures were taken to evacuate 130 families residing at the Dotale estate in Alkaduwa. Similarly, 8 families in Dehivinna Atampitiya were evacuated over landslide concerns. Meanwhile, several fractures were observed along a single line of the Badula-Norelia main road. To mitigate any further damage and to ensure commuter safety, the fractured lane was declared out of bound for traffic. Sri Lanka's railway network too sustained severe damage in the wake of cyclone detour. The railway department's maintenance unit commenced repairs on Peradeniya's Black Bridge, a vital piece of transport infrastructure wrecked by incessant rains and subsequent floods. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Army Corps of Engineers continues to restore the Nairu Bridge of Muthethiu, which was swept away by devastating currents. Off the back of these easing weather, reconstruction commenced in Ramboda, Katukitula, Garandiyala and Labukale along the Kandy to Norelia main road. These areas were ravaged by landslides that followed hot off the heels of cyclone detour. Minister of Transport, Highways and Urban Development Bimal Ratnayake today inspected the reconstruction efforts in the area.
After we receive the NBRO reports, we will reconstruct all roads in a much better manner. Japanese geologists and experts visited these areas and conducted special investigations. To implement the most optimal solutions at certain affected sites, we might need to take about a year or 2. That is because we need to erect huge safety walls and barriers. While doing so, we need to protect Nuwareliya's natural beauty.
As the monsoon settled over Sri Lanka, the District Secretary of Nuwarelia urges motorists to not use any roads leading to Nuwarelia late at night. This advisory was issued by the District Secretary over the heightened risk of landslides in the area amid persistent downpours. The District Secretary's decision follows a very recent earth slip along the Katukitula stretch of the Gampala-Norelia main road. Off the back of these concerns, the National Building Research Organisation continues to caution against recreational excursions to landslide-prone areas.
Yesterday, we received several calls inquiring if certain sites were safe to visit during the vacations. This is not the time to embark on such trips.
The canals of the Ambevele irrigation project were also devastated by the recent landslides. Extending the government's efforts to reconstruct all landslide-affected utilities, reconstruction of the Ambevele irrigation canals commenced yesterday. Similarly, the authorities took steps to repair the Diokola irrigation canal in Uva Paranagama, which was clogged by landslide debris. Floods and landslides devastated a considerable amount of croplands across the country, pushing many farmers to desperation. Vegetable cultivations in Nagolla, Kandekatiya and Palekanda within the Badula district were ravaged particularly by landslides. Paddy farmers in the Gavapiya within the Ampara district complained that about 1,000 acres of paddy were completely inundated by floodwaters. Paddy farmers further complain of sand being deposited in paddy fields, impacting soil fertility and raising concern regarding future crop yields. Furthermore, the spillover of Tuhana and Aloya within Ampara has devastated approximately 500 acres of paddy in southern Senagama. In other news concerning the delivery of aid post-detour, the Divisional Secretary of Norelia has taken steps to disburse the 25,000 rupee disaster allowance to those affected within Norelia. Meanwhile, the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, visited the mobile hospital set up in Mahayangana. This mobile hospital was donated by the Indian government in the immediate aftermath of cyclone detour striking Sri Lanka. In another high-profile visit to a disaster-struck area, Minister of Health and Mass Media Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa visited the flood-affected Shillong District General Hospital. The Health Minister also inspected the Japanese mobile hospital set up in Shillong.
Shillong's health infrastructure was the most affected of all health infrastructural facilities spread island-wide. The Japanese disaster relief team, including 31 members and 7 doctors, provided the necessary health care for local residents. The damage is critical. We will implement both temporary and permanent solutions.
Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation K.D. Lalkantha meanwhile took up an inspection tour of the Kothmale Reservoir.
මහනුවර දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ජනතාව
Misinformation regarding the Kothmale Dam has caused unnecessary panic among the people in Kandy. There are no fractures on the walls of the dam. However, a few ruptures were noticed on the mountain range behind this reservoir. This is a new development. NBRO officials must inspect this issue and share their opinion. There is no reason to panic over any concern relating to the dam or the reservoir.
කිසිම ඌමනාවක් නැහැ.
Despite cyclone Detour's impact on Sri Lanka subsiding, the activation of the northeast monsoon threatens to exacerbate the grievances borne by Sri Lankans across the country. Taking the situation into account, a special press conference was held today at the Government Information Centre to apprise the public of the latest developments.
ඊසාන දිග මෝසම ක්‍රියාත්මක වූ බව
The Department of Meteorology announced that the northeast monsoon activated the day before yesterday. The Disaster Management Centre convened yesterday and held pertinent discussions on preparations to face the incoming adverse weather. The Department of Meteorology's report is based on data collected over the past 30 years on the northeast monsoons. The report forecasts heavy rainfall in the northern province. Rainfall close to moderate levels is expected in the north central, eastern, central and Uva provinces. The report further notes low rainfall in the western and southern provinces. The department has specifically outlined the possibility of low pressure areas, wave-like disturbances, depressions or cyclones forming within December and or January. If these concerns materialize, the weather will definitely change. The military, the police and the civil defence force stand ready to face these concerns.
දීමට සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
ඊසාන මූසන් දැන් ආරම්භ වෙලා තියෙනවා.
The northeast monsoon is now active. Therefore, hazards are highly likely. For instance, day before yesterday, a landslide occurred in Meghakula despite there being no heavy downpours. Meanwhile, the chasm between a fracture in Demodara has widened. Furthermore, we continue to receive calls by distressed locals complaining that their residences are unsafe with fractures and springs emerging. Even the smallest rainfall can exacerbate these concerns to devastating scales. Since mounds of earth can collapse at any time, we urge everyone to be vigilant.
සැලකිලිමත් සිටින්නස ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
මේ වන විටත් අපේ
At the moment, sluice gates of 31 large reservoirs have been opened. The sluice gates of medium-scale reservoirs have also been opened. However, water levels are not at hazardous levels. Water being discharged at the moment poses no risk to low-lying areas. Therefore, there is no cause for citizens to panic.
බිය විය යුතු නැහැ කියන